Tonight, it's Frankenstein. I'm clearly Frankenstein. Tonight, I want to talk to you about a ghost story, an actual ghost hunt my friends and I went on at the Queen Mary. I have always been obsessed with ghosts, so this opportunity was a no-brainer. We went. Before I start, I want you to know that the Queen Mary is known as an energy vortex. What that means is it's kind of an opening between this world and other worlds. Other vortexes around the world include places like Machu Picchu, Sedona, and I didn't understand why the Queen Mary made that list. And the first question that we asked the ghost hunter on this tour that happened after hours, 10 o'clock at night, why? And they said, well, think about it. The Queen Mary at various points has been a hotel, it's been a hospital, and it's been a wartime jail. Where do people die? Hospitals, hotels, and jails. So there is a lot of energy stored in that ship. So like I said, this tour started about 10 o'clock at night. We immediately were whisked down to the underbelly of the ship, right above where the main lobby was. And this underbelly of the ship, it's where all the piping, the electrical, the maintenance, it's where all of that happens. It's all been whitewashed white. It is very, very old, so just the nature of it running, there's a lot of pops and creaks and moans, and just being down there is creepy. Right away, the ghost hunter, the tour guide, tells us, remember we were just in the lobby, the front desk was long ago closed, the lobby was empty, and that was all true. And she goes, well, why are the elevators going up and down and up and down? And okay, that was weird, but you know, we've read a lot of ghost hunting books, and it was gonna take more than that to spook us. So the tour went on. At this point, we went to the dead middle of the ship. It's where in the daytime, you're gonna be in a convention center, a conference, meeting rooms, it's carpeted. But when we were there at 10:30 at night, it was pitch black. One flashlight was being held by the ghost hunter, the tour guide, and then it was black. What there was an elevated stage like this, and there were all of those theater curtains that kind of the hotels use as room dividers. And she says, go ahead and check out this area. There's a lot of ghost activity in this area. And so my friends, some of them are here tonight, we started exploring. She didn't join us, and we asked why. She goes, I don't really like the ghosts in this area. She goes, he's very aggressive. I have had him pull guests' hair. Some people come back with welts on their arms, so I'm gonna just stay back, but you go on ahead. We were remembering the elevator thing, and we weren't too impressed, so we went on ahead. And so there I was, poking around all these long curtains, and out of nowhere, a face appears, and it goes like this. Go away. And I did go away. I ran right back to that tour guide. The tour continued, and at this point we went up to the upper deck, and we were walking around. The tour guide explained that this part of the ship was used during World War I as army barracks. A lot of soldiers stayed there. It was one of the last vessels to be used in World War I. And so we're poking around here, and we're the only people out there. It's closed for the night, so it's just 6 or 7 of us on the tour. And I hear what is distinctly whispering in what sounds to me like Italian. My friends heard it too, and we thought that was weird, so we went back to our friend, the tour guide, and we said, what's this? And she goes, that makes sense. Actually, where you guys just were is where they house the prisoners of war. She said, we've also had it reported that they have heard whispers in German and Russian. That spooked me enough so that I needed to hold my friend's hand for the remainder of the tour. So we're holding hands, the tour continues. We go through the lobby that's dark now, and it is as spooky as you can imagine. We're walking through hallways of doors of all the hotel rooms, and it definitely has the vibes of The Shining. They explain that there are rooms in the Queen Mary that have so much poltergeist and paranormal activity, they don't even bother renting it because it's too much of a hassle to re-room people in the middle of the night, things being thrown off of closets, water flooding rooms, that kind of thing. And then we get to what they say is the most haunted part of the ship. And that's in the indoor pool and the adjoining changing rooms. And so if you haven't been to the Queen Mary, the pool is kind of like the one you find in the movie Annie, where it's the mosaic, the Art Deco tile, same as in Hearst Castle, just stunning, absolutely beautiful. And this part of the tour is lighted just a little bit because that trip hazard, that huge pool. So we do have a little bit of light, and the tour guide says here we find a lot of kids at play, right? Because it's a pool. They said a lot of times you're going to see a ball just roll back and forth. Nobody's moving it, it's just moving. And you hear children laughing. Like, that sounds really fun. And so she hands my friend Sarah these divining rods. Divining rods are these huge chopstick things, and somehow they summon spirits. And so the tour guide starts calling the girls' names of ghosts that they know who are there, trying to coax them to come out to play. And so my friend's just walking around with these big chopsticks, and out of nowhere, they just start spinning. They're doing 360s in her hands. So Sarah is over here freaking out. Meanwhile, the rest of us look up in the ceiling, and we see these black, smoky ribbons just going across the length of the pool, just going and going and going. The ghost hunter didn't need to tell us what that was. We knew that those were kids coming back to play. And then we head into the changing room. And I'm telling you, you don't want to cut me short, because this, I shit you not, is the scariest thing I've ever seen. We go into the changing room, which is just adjacent to the indoor pool, and they explain to us that this is an actual portal to other dimensions. And so we get in there. It's basically individual stalls, kind of like bathroom stalls, and she tells us to spread out. And after what I had seen that night, I sure as shit wasn't spreading out. I grabbed one of my friends into my stall, and we were together. She turned her flashlight off. It was pitch black. As we were getting adjusted to the light, my stomach just started cramping up. I was just doubled over in pain. I was so uncomfortable. I whispered to my friend, I was like, this is the worst pain I've ever been in. The tour guide couldn't hear me say this. She just says at the same time, she goes, at this point, we have had a lot of women in the room experience cramping and nausea. And that's because we have confirmed reports that a woman was dragged to this very area by a man, and she was assaulted and then murdered. Murdered. I was freaking out. Then my eyes had finally adjusted to the pitch black. And I look out, remember, it's kind of like 2 rows of bathroom stalls. There's changing rooms, and then an aisle, and then changing rooms. And I look out to that aisle between us, and what I see is just ghosts, dozens, hundreds of ghosts. They're all dressed old-timey, top hats, long coats. They're just moving really, really, really quickly, like they're going somewhere. The best way I can describe what they look like are those holograms, the green ones in Disney's Haunted Mansions that follow you home. But this wasn't a hologram. They are interacting with each other, making eye contact with me. And at this point, I blacked out from fear. I left my own body. I went down to the ground. I was curled up in the fetal position. And I just wanted to go home. I wanted to be out of there. After a few minutes, I wanted to look up to my friend to see if she was seeing what I was seeing, because these people were still going. Remember, we're at a portal. These guys are going somewhere, I don't know where. And I look around to talk to her, and I say, Erin. And Erin calls to me, but from across the aisle. Because at some point, she had left our shared area, but I didn't know this because I felt something behind me on the back of my neck, kind of like someone breathing down your neck the entire time. Something was in that stall with me, but it wasn't my friend Erin. I didn't know who or what it was. And all I could do was let out a guttural scream. I don't know how that tour ended. I don't know how I made it home. All I know is I couldn't pee before I scrambled into bed because I didn't want to look into a mirror. I didn't want to see anything else around me. And I hear in the news that they're thinking about shutting down the Queen Mary, maybe dismantling it, and that is not a good idea because there are a lot of spirits there that are going to be super ticked off. And that's my true ghost story. Happy Halloween. Vickie Wippel.